very much, Oura, for this really information-rich talk. It was really interesting. And I can only imagine that you have a lot of questions at this point. So I encourage you that before you forget all those questions, you go to presemo.aalto.fi/hpc19 and write them down so that there will be opportunity while we have the panel that those questions could be asked. Okay, and with that, we move on to our next talk by Heli Koskimäki, senior data scientist at Oura Health and adjunct professor at University of Oulu. We're really happy that Heli agreed to flying from Oulu just for the day. So thank you very much.
Is it now working? I guess. So last presentation was about big things around the globe, and this is more like one ring and what we have learned working with it. And it doesn't mean that when we use the ring data that's the only way you can use, but this is the one data we can actually achieve. So Oura, I have now 4 of those, but company benefits. So it's a ring that connects, of course, to the mobile phone and then to cloud. So we have 3 different aspects. The ring is the one actually measuring yourself. The phone is the portal that provides you the information on a daily basis. So we give you information about sleep, your daily activity based on the accelerometer data, and then so-called readiness index that combines your sleep and activity information and tells you how ready you are to take the new day, even intellectually or as an athlete. And then about the open data for every user of our ring, you can actually download these kind of nighttime, daytime averages from our cloud as CSV files if you want to hack yourself for several years. So what are the actual measurements in the ring? So we use infrared sensors to measure the pulse waveform. So every time your heart beats, blood is going through your veins, and with the infrared, and we get the whole pulse waveform during the nighttime. Then on the daytime we also add the 3D accelerometer and body temperature. And of course, using these signals we can measure the pulse amplitude variation, intervals, heart rate variability, your heart rate, your respiration rate, and of course the movements, the intensity and timing of the activities goes into daily rhythms. And this is the insight. And to actually go for the long-term data, we have to know the signals we are getting are accurate. So we have been validating them inside the company against the golden standard. So here are pictures of nighttime heart rate compared to these kind of EGG measurements, and then heart rate variability compared also to EGG measurements. So nighttime averages are pretty accurate, and we know that we can trust on those. On the sleep, you will hear more about sleep, but some of them I have to say, because Oura was the first sleep tracker in the market. So 6 years ago when the company was founded, the sleep wasn't the big thing. So in the Google search engine words, now the sleep has actually gone through the activity. So people now search sleep more than activity. So it's a rising trend overall globally. But this is about the independent validation about our sleep algorithms by Stanford Research Institute. So they are not as good as the ones you are going to show, but they can actually provide the long-term data quite reliable. And then we will go for the long-term data. This is something like a couple of months of resting heart rate data downloaded from our cloud. And for every day, there's one data point. Can you imagine what are the speeds that the resting heart rate has been going up? Any ideas? What could cause heart rate? Exercise would be quite ideal, but those are actually alcohol. So if you watch the data, you can clearly see that something has affected your system, that it's not good for you. So that was one person, and this is 2.5 years of Oura user data and using these heart rate averages. There are 3 spikes. What are those? Any idea? Do you see the dates? 2.5 years. New Year's Eve, yes. So that's global. So let's step back. 50% of our users are from the US. So, and then Finland is the biggest. Even so, something like 70 different countries have outbreaks. So this is what happens in the large scale. Everybody has something to do in the New Year's Eve. And then, as a data scientist, you have to count the spikes between the New Year's Eve. How many spikes there are? Any guesses? 52. So every weekend, people tend to have higher stress. Then, what else can we see? Yeah. When is the holiday season in South or Northern Hemisphere? So is there a pointer? Over there. So here is July, August, when people have the most lowest heart rate, and the lower the heart rate, the better it is. And then here is the January when everybody is taking to do life. And I didn't take a picture, but if we use the data from the southern hemisphere, like Australia and New Zealand, it's the quite opposite. So this is actually quite nice. We know that we can trust the heart rate data. And when you throw it from whole population wide, we can see that how we actually work. And I was quite amazed that every weekend there is that spike. I was assuming that there should be something that wouldn't be so clear, but you never know. So that was heart rate, then about temperature. And Oura is mainly used for individual people to learn from themselves. So we find your own baselines, and compared to that, you can see the changes. We have been discussing that there's this kind of, that if you need to take medicine, I wouldn't do that before watching what is my baseline and how that actually affects to my own system, because I hope that the personalized medicine is coming. But this has been quite nice tool to watch that what different medicine do to my system. And somebody are more sensitive to something. So this is the way to check what are you actually doing. And then these are about temperature information. So this is your baseline. Your normal temperature during night is here. And if there is actually increase, the red means that you have had fever. So it's quite easy. At workplace, you just send your bring data and say that I was sick. No point to argue with that one. But then we have the respiration rate in here. So influenza, having 5 days of fever, seeing the respiration, getting bad. But then, still 3 weeks after that, the respiration rate has been increased. So when you say that you have had a couple of non-fever days and then you start exercising, was it a good idea, or should you have been watching the other signals of your system that actually you are still having this kind of back breathing problems, so maybe taking it easy. And this is the way people actually get the sick because training too hard, too fast. And this is about the women. You can take away that if they are women or men, but some data actually is different for women and men. So while men are quite stable on their daily basis, on the temperature, it doesn't have this kind of patterns. The women without hormonal contraceptives, they had quite clear pattern of this kind of hormonal rhythm. So 1 month rhythm that actually goes through your body. And this is only temperature, but if I would have drawn also heart rate, it would follow the same rhythm. So everything in the women is synced in your menstrual cycle. And yet another aspect. So now we are heading for daily physical activity. I'm getting pretty fast, but hopefully you will follow. Physical activity is measured by us, like using the accelerometer. So dark green, dark gray is resting, and light green is vigorous activity. So you have been most active. We have from USA, Denver, Colorado user that actually is most active during the day. And this is what people always say, that you should be active during the day and then sleep when it's dark. So this is pretty nice example that this one is actually doing how we should do. And here was, you saw the sunset and sundown. This is from person from Oura. So stay active during the daytime or daytime. So there is pretty big gap in the sun, how it affects to our lives in the northern part of Finland, even in Helsinki, compared to the one nearer to equator. But you can see that in here we don't even have possibility to be up and running during the daylight. When we checked this data, we were laughing at what else can we see it. And we just saw this yesterday, and he said that you have pretty stable lunch hours because this is 1 hour work. So you can see that at 12 there are normally lunch hours and there are office work. And I was saying that I came to work in October 2016, and after that I decided that every day we will go to lunch at 12. So I can actually see from my colleagues' data when I have arrived Oura. So before they had lunches whenever they wanted. No this kind of systematic structure at all. But then I arrived and now we are getting the lunch at 12. Then social jet lag. How many of you already know what is social jet lag? So it's the one that you actually sleep more during the weekends or later on. I have been using this kind of information that it's like every weekend you fly to London and then back. London and back. And that is really harming your system. This is also taken from the Oura cloud, and it's quite easy to see from the data that in here are the normal days, and here are the weekends. So every weekend, people is waking 2 hours later than so it's London and back, London and back. So if this happens, so what? I have to admit, I do this also. But if I can sleep, of course I will sleep. But is there something in the data that we could actually see? And this is our sleep score. So sleep score is a value from 0 to 100, and 100 is pretty much impossible to get. 85 is really good, 70 to 85 is good. And this is, we divided the group to 2 different populations. The ones we said that they have the social jet lag, so they have more than 1 hour gap in their data, in the wake-up times compared to weeks and weekends, and then the group with no social jet lag, but they can have any other disturbances in their wake. So, and then we check that what are the sleep scores during the weeks. And on Monday, there are clear drop. I know that in other countries, they are not saying Monday peace, but in Finland, if you get a bad product, you say that, yeah, I get the Monday peace, this is why it's not working. And before I saw this picture, I was laughing at, yeah, why they say the Monday peace. But of course, if people are always most tired on Mondays, so they make easily mistakes. So Monday pieces are bad. And then this is the resting heart rate for the same groups. And this was quite eye-opening. The social jet lag group never gets as low heart rates as the other population. So even Tuesday, which is the best day, compared to the heart rate, they are still above the bigger population with no social jet lag. Yeah, and then of course, because we found that we can say that your resting heart rate can reflect your current and future health. And also, I didn't put it in the slides, but there have been studies in the US that the people, students who have this social jet lag, they actually perform worse in the exams. So it's also correlating with your school success. Even though in this I have to argue at some point that our school systems are normally made for morning people. So if you are morning people, you wake up early and your exams are early and you are in your bright spot. But the evening people who actually are on the peak season after maybe even at 4 p.m., they actually suffer from this system. And this is not anymore about the social jet lag. It's about taking another group with irregular wake-up times from our big data against consistent wake-up times and watching what they actually are having as an effect. So male and female are pretty much the same, all age groups, but the irregular wake-up times, they have higher BMI, so they are more obese, their resting heart rate is up, and they are more inactive time periods. So which is the cause and which you can actually affect. So if you are more active during the day, you sleep better, and maybe you get the consistent wake-up time. But it's easier to change your wake-up times than to make this kind of big things. But as a researcher at Oura, this is something that we just show the data and we get some hints, and then you have to learn by yourself. Our vision is to empower people to own their own potential. So it's nice to show what things affect you, like the social jet lag. I do it also, but then you can make your own choices based on your own data